His name is Coleman. Where and when did you go to school?
Well, I went to a lot of schools, Coleman. I started out in California, but then I transferred when I was a small boy to Steele, Missouri, and then to Carrozville, Missouri, and then I finally finished high school in Carrozville and went to the University of Missouri, to college.
Did you have a favorite teacher?
No, I don't guess I had any favorite teacher. I liked them all. I thought that all the teachers were trying to do their best to teach all of us the subject that they were teaching. History, English, mathematics, whatever it was. I thought they all did a good job.
What was your school like back in
Some of the schools in Steele, Missouri were old, one-story schools. Some of them were framed. They weren't even brick. And they tended to be harder because I don't think that the teachers were as well qualified as maybe the teachers were in California. And they were better qualified in high school than they were in grade school.
Did you fight in any wars?
Yeah, I was in the United States Navy in World War II. And it was a very good experience. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I had a few close calls, but not many. We were in a typhoon off of Japan. I was over in Japan when the war ended, and the worst typhoon at that time in history came up off Okinawa, and we put out to sea to ride it out. And there were 6 ships in our squadron, and 3 of them we lost. They just were sunk, and we never did hear from them. Then it lasted about 2 days. It was rough.
What do you remember most about the war?
The thing that I remember most about the war, I guess, was the good time I had aboard ship. I was on a destroyer, and I did the navigating, and it was fun. I was up on the flying bridge with the executive officer, and I just had a good time. It was an experience. I wouldn't take anything for it.
If you had to choose a different career, what would you have chosen?
Say again?
If you had to choose a different career, what would you have chosen?
A different career? I guess more than anything else, I really wanted to be a sports writer. That's what my ambition was. And when I got back to home after the war was over, just before I went up to the University of Missouri, I was trying to decide whether to go to journalism school or not, and I called the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and asked for the sports editor, and his name was J. Roy Stockton. And he covered the St. Louis Cardinals and other things. And I told him who I was and what I was thinking about doing, and I asked him for his advice. And he said he told me that he would never advise anybody to get into sports writing because they weren't ever going to make any money out of it. It'd just be a living, and that's all. And so, as a result of his negative advice, I didn't go to journalism school.
What historical event has influenced your life the most?
What historical events? Every event that I was part of had an influence on my life. World War II did. The Korean War, the atomic bomb that President Truman set off, Kennedy's assassination, the Vietnam War, every event that you can think of had an influence on my life. What I wound up majoring in college was history. So I am really a true history buff. I'm a stat freak. I can tell you the batting averages of all the baseball players from the beginning of time. Things like that. I like all that. And that's history.
What kind of Christmas presents did you get?
I got footballs and baseballs and bicycles, that sort of thing. Same things you get.
What did you get in your stocking?
What about? I don't understand that.
What did you get in your stocking?
So in your stocking? Oh, we didn't have stockings. We didn't do that kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with it. We just didn't do it.
All right, hold on.
Movie at Christmas time. The name of it's The Christmas Story, or A Christmas Story, with Peter McGavin. I mean, that's the funniest, one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. And it's exactly like it was when I grew up. Exactly. I had a little brother that was just like that little guy that had the furry snowsuit on, and he'd fall down and couldn't get up. And we fixed tires out on the road just like the father did in the movie. And I saw a dog come through the house and steal a turkey off the kitchen table. I mean, it's just exactly like the way I grew up. What else, Coleman? Ready?
What kind of sports did y'all play?
We played the same kind that you do now, mostly football, baseball, basketball.
Did y'all have the same kind of rules that we did?
Pretty much, Coleman, just about the same as they are now. We played tennis and golf when I was growing up also.
Well, what do you like most about sports?
What do I like most about sports? In football, I like defense most. In baseball, I like hitting and fielding. And in golf, I think golf's the best game I ever played because you can play it all your life. It's the only game that I know of that you can play all your life. Everything else, when you get in high school or finish with high school, that's the end of it, unless you're good enough to be a professional and go on in sports that way. But everybody likes to have something they can do later on in life, and that's what I like about golf. Shoot.
How did you meet my grandma?
One day, and after I got out of the Navy, I went over to a city close to where I lived to play golf. And there were a bunch of guys that went over there, and one of them was a friend of mine. His name was Clark Reed. And he had a date with Sue. That's when I first met her. And I thought, when we were walking around the course that afternoon, I thought, man, I sure would like to know that girl. And when I got home, I called her and asked her for a date. And that was it.
How old were you?
How old was I? 22.
What do you think is your greatest accomplishment?
I think the accomplishment that gave me more pleasure than anything else was coming over here to Demopolis and helping set this business up. Robert Stone and Charles and Kim Mayton and I started this business together in 1982. And we started small. We borrowed all the money that we could get a hold of to start the business. Started with 2 machines, and we did well. Sold the business in 1986, and now we have 22 machines. And I think this plant's a real asset to Demopolis. We employ about 150 people, and all those people buy groceries and clothes and pay taxes and all the things it takes to make the community prosperous. And so I list this as what I consider my favorite and best accomplishment, my participation in starting Plastic and Van.
What was Demopolis like when I was there?
Wait.
See, I don't really know the answer to that because,
Run it after again.
yeah, I mean, I'm really a fairly newcomer to Demopolis. I've only lived here 30 years. A lot of people lived here all their lives and their families before them.